Hey everybody, welcome to Youser, the show all about user-generated content in MMOs. I wanted to do a little bit of a half web browsing, half gaming, and keep it short this week. I wanted to cover Player Studio, SOE's new thing that's coming out, or it's already out in EverQuest 2, I believe. But basically it lets you, the player, make the items that will be found in the game, and on top of that you can make money with them, with a share going to SOE, Sony Online Entertainment. Essentially, here's the splash screen. We're going to look it over. Right now in EverQuest 2, if you've never played that game, it's huge for player generated content or user generated content, with the housing, especially the housing. Just hundreds and thousands of items to decorate your homes with, tons of different home plans, and on top of that, the really big thing is where it gets really crazy into like emergent gameplay and metagaming and user-generated content, is when the players are taking all these items and twisting them and turning them and combining them to create new items that didn't exist in the game before. So like, to make something look like a throne chair by adding something like a desk and a table lamp or something, Players do that, and the items can be overlapped, and they can kind of like, one can go inside the other with just part of it sticking out, so it makes a totally new item for them to decorate with. So that idea is being taken to the extreme by Sony Online Entertainment with their Player Studio, and I think it's really cool. They're all about user-generated content these days, and I think that's getting real popular in the industry as a whole. But this is actually going to be templates. They're going to show you how to do this. You are going to have to use other software, just like a graphical designer would online, who's creating like computer graphics animations for cartoons or for any video game under the sun, and so on and so forth. But you would take these templates they're going to give you for items that are in the game. So, like, they might have a specific template for like some kind of a medium bronze dagger or something, as an example. They'll take that template, which is just going to be totally stripped away and devoid of any details. It's going to be a basic three-dimensional object as a template, and you're going to download that and put it into the programs that they suggest. As you can see here, you can use these templates as OBJ files, which are like object files. And I've done a little bit of this because I was messing around with an MMORPG platform called Multiverse, and so I've actually made some objects from scratch in a couple really easy to use and learn programs. One's called like I'm forgetting now, Engine or something, or Delete, D-E-L-E-D, and it's totally free. Now it's simplified. It's not going to have the enormous tool set somebody like the CryEngine people would have, but it allowed me to make buildings and rocks and stuff in 3D, and I create and save it as an OBJ, and so they're going to have these files, and you download them. They'll teach you how to make texture maps, which adds like, it would add like the texture. Basically, if you want to look like a cup without any, a finely made ceramic teacup, it would be nice and smooth and glossy and shiny even. Well, there's texture for that you can, and you can find textures that are totally royalty free and free to download all over the web. So there's all kinds of free sources to help people do this. And then you can just, there's ones that make it look bumpy and rigid, like sand, like maybe sandpaper, anything under the sun, is possible here. So let's say you downloaded a very simple sword. It will look kind of like gray and very simplistic. And now the player gets to add all the detail, all the color, all the detail. You can add little spikes coming out of the hilt or whatever, and color it however you want, put the texture on, do whatever you want to it. And then, since it's a sword as opposed to like a chair or something, it's like it's going to be a usable item in the game if it gets accepted, which I'll explain that in a second. So you made it. Now you need to make the stats and everything for it, because in MMOs, when you look at like a sword, you'll get a little pop-up window or something, and it will tell you its name, it will tell you its strength, and depending on what the MMO is and what attributes that particular MMO use, it will it will have stats according to those attributes. So in EverQuest 2, you add it, you do everything, like, and then you submit it, and it gets voted on. So you can't make the giant, you can't make a naughty-looking giant Epine sort of funniness, and expect it to be actually put into the game. So when it gets approved, it'll go in, and bam, it'll be there. But it'll be available through, I believe, the cash shop in EverQuest 2 anyways. And they're already planning to implement this in Vanguard, which is very cool. And once it gets implemented, it's an item in the game that can be used. And it can be sold for a certain amount on the cash shop, and you get the money for it, with SOE getting a slice of it. So that's essentially SOE Player Studio in a nutshell. I'm sure I left out a ton of detail, but that's okay. I just wanted to cover it really quick. As you can see here, they're already saying it's for EverQuest, EverQuest 2, Free Realms, and Vanguard is coming soon. I think this is amazing for Vanguard, and that's the next part of this. So we're going to be jumping into Vanguard here. I'll just have a little fade away and fade back in, and see you guys on the other side. So here we're in Vanguard, and this is partly why the Player Studio from SOE is going to be so very cool for Vanguard, I think. I'm just tooling around here in Thestra, northern Thestra, that is, right here. And I'm near just lower level stuff, 23 to 26. But this little island that's sort of like a triangular shape here is where I'm heading, and it's so very cool because, as you can see those little houses there. Those are players' houses, and there's even some guild castles. And we're not going to load or anything, of course, because Vanguard is seamless. Vanguard has, for the most part, Vanguard is seamless and has no loading screens, except for a few different areas where you have to like teleport to get into places. But that goes along with the story and lore, so it kind of plays into the gameplay. So we're getting a little lag, but that's cool. That's cool. We're gonna we just entered the housing area. As you can see, it popped up on the screen. We're gonna run up here. This I think is going to be awesome. The Player Studio might give a chance for an enormous explosion in having crafted goods made, like tables, chairs, cups, plates, whatever have you, housing stuff. To decorate with. And as you can see, this is what's so very cool about housing in Vanguard. It's open world. Here, look at this. Here's some guy has a little cabin here. He just has a small little one. Isn't that cool? So we'll see if he has it locked or not. And it doesn't seem to be letting us go in. I don't know if I'm doing something wrong. I've been right-clicking on it to open the door. Oh, left click, double click. Anyways, here we are in this one. Let stuff load up here. Wow, he's got like a fish. And there we go. Okay, so all this stuff, there's a lot of really cool stuff already, but compared to EverQuest 2, it falls short, I think, as far as housing stuff. I don't mean to make it sound bad. It's just EverQuest 2 is amazing for the housing. Plus, I said earlier how you can combine items and things. So we've got some enough cool stuff here to decorate with alone. Now imagine adding the player studio and having tons of stuff for the player to make, totally new items. I think there'll be an explosion of the variety you can have, and it's going to make decorating housing so cool. And I think, in my opinion anyways, it might have just a tiny leg up on EverQuest 2 because it's seamless open world. You don't have to go visit like a landmark and then look through a list and say, oh, maybe I want to see this, and you can just come here and run around, which is pretty cool. You can see here's another little cabin. I've actually never seen the inside of these. Maybe that just means they're unfinished. I don't think it means they're unfinished. Sometimes people leave their stuff locked, but don't do that. Don't do that. I mean, you want to show off your house, and it's not in danger of getting anything stolen. See? Man, what's up with that? You can't have anything stolen. You might as well show it off. I can't believe that. Anyways, that gives you a rough idea. Here's one. I love how it also shows the house being built in stages. That's just really, really cool. Woo! So I can come in here and be like, I'm helping. So that's pretty much it. That's it in a nutshell, what I wanted to talk about. So once the player studio is implemented in Vanguard, I'll be coming back to Youser probably a lot just to show off the different items that players are making, whether it's crafted items for housing or weapons, even equipment. Evidently there's a whole slew of varieties in stuff that can be made. It'll have to pass a board that agrees, to let it in the game, but it's there now. That's really kind of empowering players in a video game, in an MMORPG. You get to make what goes into the game, and you get a little bit of money for it too, I think. Depending on, well, it depends. But yes, you can make money on it. But that about wraps it up for Youser. You can check Youser out every Friday, and then I'm forgetting the days of the weeks my shows are. Saturday, what did I say Saturday was? Saturday is, I believe, Dungeoneered or Telon Times. I'm getting confused on that, but I have all these shows. Please check them out. Browsy, 5-Minute Adventures, Telon Times, Dungeoneered, and all that good stuff. And I'll see you guys next episode.